Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. Hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here, and welcome to one of the greatest building games out there. Well, it's been out for a long time, and it recently was re-released again on Steam with the full deluxe version coming with the Soaked and the Wild DLCs with lots and lots of scenarios. Of course, Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 having a bunch of scenarios to it. Let's go ahead and take a look at all those new little scenarios there. Yeah, there's quite a few different scenarios just for the base vanilla game, starting with Vanilla Hills, and then, of course, the two DLCs adding a lot of new features, including a lot of water stuff, like, for example, water slides and water parks, and also the Wild campaign, too, which adds a lot of animals. Not as many campaigns for this one, but definitely more stuff to build in all of the parks, and also, of course, some really cool scenarios and artwork as well, with a little background, trying to get all the way up to Tycoon mode through Apprentice and Entrepreneur in order to try to challenge yourself. So, anyway, today I wanted to jump in to take a look at the Wild West scenario in this game, and also one of the previous scenarios that I ran through. Ah, yes, of course. Yes, zoos, animals, and stuff in this game, too. So if you want a combination of Planet Coaster and also Planet Zoo with a little bit of Roller Coaster Tycoon mixed in, well, there you go. You actually can have yourself like a cool little park with animals and stuff in it, and plenty of rides. No game has come close to combining those two just yet. So right now we're going to jump into checking out the Gold Rush scenario and see what that's all about. Now's your chance to hit pay dirt using the unstable abandoned mining area to showcase high-rise coasters. Over time, your coasters must start to make up the adrenaline and what they lack in height to keep your claim stocked with the visitors. All right, let's jump in, and then I'm going to take you guys over to a park that I built previously in Vanilla Hills. When the game was originally released, I wanted to take a look at that park and kind of further look at it as well. Let's go. well, that was fun. I spent all my money, but yeah, it feels good to actually make a nice park or whatnot. We've already actually completed the apprentice scenario by just simply spending all the money we had, and I think we're going to be profitable now too, as long as a few more of those coasters start running, and of course we monitor the park entrance fee, but that should be fine. And we'll probably have to hire some staff and some other stuff too. But hey, it looks great, and yeah, this definitely makes me like really appreciate Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 and also Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 and 1. I think Roller Coaster 1 had the Roller Coaster Tycoon 1 had the better campaign, with the second game having a lot more difficulty ramp up and stuff. So, but this looks amazing. I like the park. And, of course, the wooden roller coaster over here, the one that you start with. This really reminds me a lot of, I think it was Dynamite Dunes on Roller Coaster Tycoon 1. And this map even giving us more space, as we mentioned, to expand up here, too. And go into 2 higher areas all the way around there. And then here as well, it seems like. Maybe. There's like a little path that leads up there. So that'd be kind of cool to buy that land as well. But a beautiful park. And one of the earlier levels in the game, of course, having many other levels to go to. So definitely looking good. A little food court area down here. Looking nice. Yep, I like that we built that. Looks like there's a real long line for the Bucking Broncos. And also, of course, this ride here. Oh, apparently it's offline, so we'll have to turn that on. Perfect. So we'll get that up and kicking. And then, of course, we have our little ride here. What's the name of this one? The 650, just like our new coaster, too. Or what is known as the, let's see. Oh, I always forget where the names of these are. Wait, what about vehicles? Oh, yeah, this has like the Wild West cars on it too. So that actually looked quite nice. Customers, how we doing? 0 per hour. We got to open that up too. So good. All right, well, while we were building the park, we were losing money then because that wasn't running and neither was this. But now I guess we're fully open because now we can actually open all of our rides. Cool. Perfect. All right, so that's our grand opening. People were able to come on in and buy some burgers and whatnot and go to the Bucking Bronco section and the roller coaster down here. But now we're finally open. Cool. Well, let's hire some staff members then. Apparently a few rides need a little maintenance or whatnot, so let's go ahead and do that. Need to plop them down. And some janitors too. Yeah, don't forget to do that. I think the best thing to do in this game is not only, of course, the design, just the park overall design, but the design of roller coasters, but also the decoration, because of course that can raise your rating for a lot of different things in the park. And also, of course, yeah, the coasters and stuff zipping by. I cannot go without building a beautiful little like oasis. Every time I play Roller Coaster Tycoon or Parkitect or Planet Coaster, I always find myself doing that. All right, let's take a look at some other parks that I built before. I'll lead you over to another video where we built one when this finally re-released. So let's jump into the original. I think it was called Vanilla Park, whatever it was. I already forgot. Let's go. We'll be able to make more cash, which will then allow us to, of course, spend that on our next roller coaster. So in this game, it really feels like, if you've played more modern games like Parkitect, it really feels a lot like that. Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 really influenced a lot of building games, not just roller coasters, but of course management games and other genres too, things that were not as roller coastery, like golfing and such, and those became good games too. Really liking how this roller coaster looks so far. A couple of bumps, a couple of turns, and yeah, a few more little humps here and there to try to get that vertical and horizontal G's going around the turns and around the inclines. And we'll swing around to the back. This one's not going to be too long, but of course, adding little trees and mountains and decorations around it really increases the enjoyable nature of the roller coaster, as, of course, the more stuff people have to look at, and the more immersive the ride becomes. Boom, we connect that one all the way back, and then, of course, we'll start painting it, too. I don't know why everything starts out just like pure pitch black in this game, but I'm just assuming that it's reminding you to be mindful that you can paint everything. I think in the previous games, wooden roller coasters would start out as like a wood color, or maybe they'd be painted white, and I think junior coasters would be like red. But in this one, I think it just starts as a default primer color, so that way you can paint things. But red looks pretty good here, and fiddling around with things like the lighting. I think the cars look good, though, as the blue and the red and the yellow and all that go together quite nicely. So we'll connect this one up, and we should be able to open it. And I also do rename some of these rides and adjust the prices, too, so that way we can at least make a little bit of money. Not too much, though. I still want to get more people into the park. A couple of things for this level of the game is to really just get enough people into the park to accomplish certain goals. So now we're raising the landscape around there, terraforming, and we'll add some trees and stuff very shortly. I always miss the birds flying over, too. All those birds you may have saw a second ago flying over the top of the map. Oh, I love that. Alright, looks like we're out of cash at the moment, I think, so we're going to have to probably get a little loan going, so that way we can put down some more trees and then start working on future rides. We're also adjusting prices here, so that way we don't have to take out a loan as quickly. Wow, the jumper there, that high flyer or sky flyer or whatever it is, the bungee cord thing really has a lot of people there. But unfortunately, it doesn't have a big throughput. It can't take a lot of people at a time. But fortunately, the roller coaster can, so with the adjusted prices of that, we should be able to do that just fine. You'll notice some of the names that I'm naming some of the rides here to try to give them a little personality, so that way I can feel like I actually did something rather than just plopping them down for maximum profit, and actually make them a little more customized, so that way everybody feels like, you know, the park actually cares. Here at this corporation, we care for you, right, kids? Right. Okay, so now we've done it. We've completed the apprentice level, and now we're on to entrepreneur before we get to tycoon. So that's an easy start for us. Just a roller coaster and a couple of rides did us wonders. We still haven't opened any of the shops at the moment, but later we will definitely do that, and the park rating will skyrocket, and so will profits, as everybody will have something to eat, and of course it'll attract more people to the park as our rating will go up too. Mixing in here some sugar pines and some oak and some other bushes, and we'll eventually put in some more color in here with the red bushes that are available, which are also present on the outside of the map. So really trying to blend things here very nicely. Things are looking really good so far, and I'm proud of my ability to link things together. We're taking out a loan. Money is plummeting, of course, as we're doing all sorts of crazy building. At the start, of course, you want to build, 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 because that's what brings in the money, and that's true to any building game. Of course, you want to spend money before you make money, so that way you can get some basic services down, and we're going to make a nice little viewport here for our people to kind of go out and take a look at the beautiful pond that's there. And of course, we'll build a roller coaster on the outside of that water here very shortly, so it'll look real good. We're going to put some benches down outside the food courts, as well as some garbage cans to start taking care of some of the trash that we'll see in the park. And of course, as we continue to build the park, it's a good idea to do that over time. So as you expand the park and add rides, it's a good idea to also go back and add garbage cans, seating, and lighting whenever you can, and it'll make for a good, really a good experience for the visitors. Taking out a loan and then adding to our marketing budget now. We're going to attract some more people to the park by giving them a discount on the junior coaster that we just built. 2 coasters in the park so far, and a couple of thrill rides that are not too bad. They are bringing in some money. We're going to go for a gentle ride next. Bumper cars are now down. Excellent. And now those are connected up pretty good. Pretty easy to build a queue in this game. Very short queue for the bumper cars, though it'll end up being a well, I think it'll be a profitable and popular ride, but luckily it doesn't take up too much space, and it's not too complicated, and there's really no danger to operating it. So luckily there's that. We need a carousel, though, in this classic park, and we'll plop one down there, too, and we'll try to connect the queue up around the other side towards the main pathway, and that should attract some more guests as well. We'll be adding some more trees and adding some more decorations. That's probably one of my favorite things to do, is add all the fencing and stuff. When you start adding fences and benches and all the trees and such, that's when you know you're kind of truly done with an area. But these types of games you're never done with. You're always building, always improving. There's much more to do. Building stations, for example, on top of the roller coasters, and building little seating areas and building shade. You can get incredibly detailed even in this game. Even though it's from the early 2000s, it is a masterpiece. And though it's not flawless, of course, it still is highly recommended, and just tons of fun. Even watching myself now, I just want to go back and play it as I'm doing this commentary. But doing this was a ton of fun, I must say already. Now, we're adding a lot more stuff to the park in terms of employees. We're adding a lot more janitors to clean up the trash, maintenance personnel to repair rides and deal with vandals, security to just try to stop vandals from doing that, as well as a few entertainers to get that rating up. The park rating's doing pretty good so far. There's nothing too difficult that we can't handle at the moment. We're painting some of the queue lines, too, to make them look a little nicer. And we're also going to be adding another ride now. We're going to try to do some mini golf here, but that doesn't really seem to be a good area for that. So we're going to try to find another ride to fit in. Eventually, we'll put this parachute down somewhere. It looks like in the lower right corner here. And that'll have a line that loops around in front of the roller coaster. And it should have a pretty lengthy queue. This, I think, is part of the DLC. I think it might be a part of the Wild DLC. So we're just going to make a straight queue there, and it doesn't really have a very large throughput, but it should be a pretty exciting ride, so if anybody gets to the back of the park, they can ride that as well. So that's right on the main line. So hopefully anybody who doesn't get off the main road might be attracted to that ride. More detailing with trees, too. Again, every time we put down a tree, it's adding to the park's rating, and also the ride's rating, which, of course, when the rides increase, that also improves the park's rating, too. And you can get all sorts of different awards, such as the award for getting your park to be tidy, for having a beautiful park, for having a safe park, and that really helps to boost your rating as well. Getting more people in, more money means more roller coasters, and everyone can have a good time and get behind that, right? More trees and flower pots being added, more flower gardens being added next to those roads. It's looking really good. This is much more complete than it was. It's really amazing how quickly a park can come together. This took place over the course of about an hour, and the footage is sped up to about 275%. So it's going to be about 25 minutes of footage in that over an hour time. So let's see what other things that we can add here. I'm going to add some bushes between the trees. There we go, to really add to that nice, beautiful main path. And of course, there's many different ways that split off and rides that are connected to that. So I think our guests are going to really enjoy going down that main route and hopping on some rides nearby. We're going to try to do something a little unusual here that I've been experimenting with him when I played Parkitect, which is a lot of fun. I mentioned that game several times, so I'd highly recommend all three of those games: Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, Parkitect, and of course Planet Coaster. I'm going to put a little bit of a wall here to kind of separate the garden from the ride behind it, but still so you can see it. So it seems like a separate area, but you'll be able to enjoy the thrill ride and hear all the screams of all the passengers and such if you take a seat in the initial area there. Going to add a little bit of bushes, some topiary, and we're going to add a little decoration to that and finish that area up quite nicely. I think I goof it up at one point and have to come back when we do some more fencing, but it looks pretty good so far. Going to add a little more fencing around this center area. One thing that really helps the park come together is by, interestingly, separating it. So making it look more complete by adding areas that really keep people on the pathways and keep them out of forested areas that are just for looks and for wildlife and nature to kind of grow, birds to visit and such, so they kind of populate the area and it'll look nice. Some red trees now. It looks like these are, I think, red maples or oaks, actually. And yeah, those are going to look good. A nice pop of color now. Actually kind of reminds me of the start of fall, and we're getting into yet another autumn in real life, so this is kind of a nice little vision for this. This is really exciting. I like watching all of this go on, even from my perspective. Of course, there's a million ways to complete these scenarios, so there's really no right or wrong moves when it comes to completing the scenarios, so long as you complete the objectives. But of course, making money is always a necessity, so that way we can put down rides. There's some nice space there between the food court and the bumper cars, too. That's going to take a smaller thrill ride, so we'll have to adjust our marketing, or rather our research budget once we are completed here. At this point, I've realized that I need to turn on all of the food court items and buildings. So now we have 2 functioning food courts, or at least we will once they're all turned on. Hey, a dinosaur head. I can get behind that. That's nice. Good. All right, so it looks like a lot of people are coming for hamburgers. A lot of people are coming for the drinks, too. We'll add some more decorations and make sure we've got all the buildings fully functioning. Now, this is really starting to look like a park. We got some tall structures. We got some roller coasters. We're going to need another roller coaster, though. One is just, unfortunately, not enough. So we're going to build our roller coaster somewhere between the parachutes and the other slingshot ride. But not without decorations. First, we're going to make the food court area look really nice. What a pleasant little area for all of our people to come and visit. I like how everything looks rather large. The food court area is a pretty big area, but yet it's kind of just a small pit stop off the other pathway that's just below it. We're going to add some more benches and some other places for people to sit down. We also need to add some more toilets, but I'm going to finish up every area that doesn't really have a lot of room for a ride to fit in very shortly. It looks like there's a lot of tree options in this game too. And with all the DLCs, you can of course separate things by genre, whether it's fantasy or western or whatnot, and then of course between soaked or wild if you want to add some exotic plants for the animals, or maybe for a separate section of the park to really make it look good. Okay, well, we're going to add another ride here, I think. I think it's time for maybe another coaster. Going to try to find the precise one that we're looking for. And I think we'll look for... what I was trying to do as well is try to make a pre-made coaster. But you actually have to unlock several parks before you do that. The game's kind of forcing you to learn how to build a coaster. So we'll build our spinning coaster now, right over here. And we'll see how it goes. Now, the final design of this will change, and it'll actually improve. When we first finish this, it'll get a medium, medium-low, which means medium excitement, medium intensity, and a low nausea rating. But eventually, it'll get a high rating, or a very high rating, one of the two, for excitement, and it'll get a lot more passengers with my redesign, which is good. Building something and trying to get it open and then redesigning it, not a bad plan, so long as you make some money and make a change to it. People think that it's a whole new ride. This will take me a little bit of time to figure out, as of course there's also sections of this ride where the car can be adjusted to where it can face forward, backwards, or spin freely. And I think you get the most bonus if you go down hills backwards and then try to have it spin freely everywhere else. But we'll see it all come together here shortly. We're going to get close to the pond here, but the final design will go over the pond, and it'll look really nice. We're also going to try some subterranean stuff. It's really good to make tunnels. This land is a little too flat to build through naturally, so we're going to try to do some canyon runs here where we go down into the ground, and then we'll cut right through it. Looks pretty good. Yeah, so going around through low spots is good, because then you can have the track come through it towards the end when it needs to go closer to the ground. But our initial station is a little higher than that. We're at about, I think, I would imagine probably about 5 meters. I'm thinking that in Parkitect, but as you can see, our swing back is going to take a little bit of effort. It's kind of a weird angle to work with, so I'm trying to figure out, since the game doesn't indicate where it is on the map, you kind of have to eye it up. Some games now give a little circle to show you exactly what grid space or square that it's in. So we're going to bring this back a little bit more around that drop and then swing back to the station with an S-bend. I think that will do towards here, and it should connect at some point. We also need to go a little lower, but the final design will be very good. This is me kind of getting a little bit more learning in for the initial coaster design, which makes me excited for bigger big coasters. I want to see a wooden coaster. I really want to build a big one in one of the other maps, so I think the quote-unquote Dynamite Dunes area would be perfect for a runaway mine coaster, or really a wooden coaster. The woody coasters are just fantastic, and really makes me miss Bumbley Beach. Really cool to be able to see that coming back. Okay, let's add our test. We're going to build some unique little queues. I love when the queues can go over the park pathways. The exit line is going to go over the path and swing back around next to the bumper cars, so that's going to look really cool. And the queue is going to go under the station, and we're going to build a nice little station here too, where we decorate it with a roof and some walls. And of course, it's going to be mediocre at best, like me, right guys? But it's going to be at least a little more. I'm going to put a little more effort into it. We extended the queue out to near the food court, where there's going to be a lot of traffic, and you're going to see me redesign this a little bit more. What I should do is build a smaller ramp and then the stairs, but as you can see, this one didn't quite... there's a little bit of a gap. That's what we call a lawsuit there, kids. So connecting it this way might be a little bit better. We're going to put the stairs there, then swing around, and then we'll put a ramp, there we go, at the bottom. So that way people can get up, or rather get out of that ride. Very good. Alright, well, that ride is looking pretty good. We painted it. It's going to get extended again. I want to make mention that it's going to go over the pond, and it's going to look much, much better towards the end. And, yeah, so let's go ahead and get a bunch of trees placed down and fill in all the spaces. We still have room for another thrill ride. we're going to make our way up to Tycoon here very shortly. Oh, and there we go. We actually just made our way past Entrepreneur, and now we got to do the Tycoon level, which requires us to have like $100,000 worth of rides inside. The way to do that would probably be to finish higher level research, delete the other coasters, and then put in bigger, more expensive coasters. I think when we finish this park, we're at about maybe $70,000 in park value. And what we want to do is get to $100,000. So if you're going to make up that gap of, you know, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 could be put right into coasters if you needed to. So building some big extended coasters would be a good idea. But there is not a lot of space on this park. And if you were going to build a coaster, it would probably have to be... You'd have to actually probably delete the red one that you're looking at now and the original coaster that was here, the one with the airplanes, and try to build a very large coaster over there somewhere. In fact, the gap's not too big. Like I said, about $30,000 is what we're short of the goal. And in order to do that, we just have to build like a big coaster over there. And I think you could probably, if you made it custom, and if you made another couple of thrill rides that were very expensive, that goal would be no problem. I want to spend a little time decorating now. This really brings the park together by, again, interestingly enough, separating it by building bushes and flower beds and stuff, and little hedges, as you would think would kind of make it seem more separate, but it actually makes it look more realistic and more complete. That somebody cared for it, rather than just pathways down in the middle of a lawn. There's actually, you know, fences and hedges and benches and garbage cans and things that can keep people, you know, entertained and something to look at while you're walking between areas. It's always good to have a tree or something to kind of, I guess, to admire as you're walking around. I don't know. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that, of course, more decorations means more things to bring up your park rating and gives more accommodations for guests, so that way their happiness is higher, too. Whether you're playing Planet Coaster, or whether you're playing Parkitect, or whether you're playing Roller Coaster Tycoon, benches and flower beds and fences and pathways are kind of all part of the deal. All done a little differently, but this definitely looks very good, and I like it the most. Well, we're about done here, and I can't wait to show you the redesign of the final coaster, of that one that we just built, the spinning coaster. And actually, probably not a bad coaster to have in such a very small area. The kiddie coaster, you know, the junior coaster, the little airplane roller coaster, and the other small coaster, the spinning one, are very good for this park. We can fit in a lot of coasters in a very small area, and that means more throughput, that means more money, and that means a higher park rating because people have something to do. All right, one last thing to put in. Unfortunately, the funhouse is not going to work, so we're going to try to put in the little zipper now. That'll go in towards the end here. And by the time you see the park at the end, we're going to have a lot more completed. So we're going to do a few things off screen, not too much, and then you'll be able to see the final park design, which is just going to be absolutely thrilling. I want to play more of this game too, but again, I highly recommend that you get this one for yourself and start playing. And if you've never played these types of games before, now's the time. All right, let's see how the park ended up. All right, and here we have it, the completed park, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, we added our little extension to the roller coaster here for the spinning coaster. It looks really nice. We also added a station here just to the other side of it, and I'm really proud about actually building something like that. It doesn't look that great, but it is my first type of building like that, and it looks good. Well, you ever build a park in a game that you come back to later and you're like, wow, I'm glad I'm back? Well, a year ago when I made this one, that speed build that you just saw, man, this really takes me back to like a year ago, to where I was like, I can remember what I was thinking while I was building this park, and it just feels really good to be back in this game, honestly. I think Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 just is a really good step forward for the Roller Coaster Tycoon brand. Very, very different than the first two, but did what it could with modern technology and also tried to stay true to the original while also bringing in new things. Now, don't get me wrong. I must say I really enjoy Roller Coaster Tycoon 1. I really do enjoy Roller Coaster Tycoon 1, more than 2 even, for its base campaign. But the features of 2 are just absolutely stellar as well. But 3, taking a risk, and I think being a win for the Roller Coaster Tycoon series. Unfortunately, the developers of that game, or whoever owns the right, going on to making all sorts of less than great mobile games and other games that I was hoping that would be really great. But it's just hard to beat the originals, and it's hard to pass Planet Coaster and Parkitect, and many other park building and roller coaster building games that are really cool and a lot of fun. A lot of good features in this park. I can remember building it. I must say I really like building in these types of landscapes. These, these alpine and tropical, lots of forest, lots of trees, and it's really beautiful to look at, especially when you zoom out and you can see all the different autumn colors and things like that there. And that's really a fun thing to do in Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo as well, is to see all your stuff kind of coming together that way. Nice little food court here. An attempt at a station. I'm not the best at stations, that's for sure. And yeah, so kind of taking a look now at a retrospective of a park that really made me. I loved building this park so much a year ago that it actually pulled me back in to say, I want to come on back and do some more live streams of Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 and Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 and the original as well for the scenarios, and continue to play all sorts of lovely building games, no matter how old. Sometimes these games, they could do a re-release on this, and it would be amazing. People would love this in terms of a remake, rather than just kind of making something new each and every time. It'd be awesome. All right, well, that is it for this park then, folks. I must say I really like it. The water features and whatnot over here, and the junior coasters. The smaller coasters really making a good impact here, but it was nice to take a look at. And I think there's some really good diverse landscapes in this game, too. All sorts of different great scenarios as well, from the movie backlot to the desert and the go-karts, too, and like a cowboy Wild West scenario. Very cool stuff. And really, really a great looking park here. I could tell I was definitely playing some park builders before this, because this surpassed any of my skills I had. But then again, it all definitely depends on what you got unlocked and how much time you put into it. Looks great. Really looks great. All right, well, we got lots of personnel here, lots of maintenance and whatnot, and a very profitable park at $2,000 and growing, probably, especially after hitting that, the Tycoon goal pretty much almost going to be hit at any moment with $100,000 minimum park value. I'm sure that'll be hit when some of these coasters are either reopened or whatnot. There's probably ways to cheese that where you can close it, change a part, and it suddenly becomes new again. But lots of great coasters in here. Some biplanes, some junior coasters. Looks like 2 or 3. 4 coasters, maybe 3 or 4 coasters, and some really good thrill rides, as well as the bungee drop, which looks beautiful. Vanilla Hills, first mission in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. Good stuff, man.